Welcome to Doing the Work, a Naples integrated recovery podcast. My name is Brian, and this space is for anyone who's tired of surviving the same emotional and behavioral loops, whether that's anxiety, trauma, addiction, or problems in your relationships. Around here, we cut the surface level advice, no sugarcoating, no platitudes, no bumper sticker wisdom. We focus on clarity, responsibility, emotional discipline, and the courage to look at yourself honestly so that you can stop repeating the same old patterns and start living with intention instead of reaction. Let's get into it. That'll wake you up. What if you stopped right now in the middle of whatever you are doing right this second? Because probably you're not just listening to me, you're probably doing something else at the same time. Are you scrolling? Are you mid-sentence in an email, in the middle of a task that you are trying to finish before you let yourself breathe? What if the thing that you are doing while I am interrupting you still feels critically important, still feels useful, still feels like it deserves 5 more minutes, and something interrupts you anyway? That question has been sitting with me because of an old monastic practice, and in Benedictine monasteries, their day was shaped by a bell. The bell called the monks to prayer, it marked the hours, and the goal was to interrupt ordinary work. You could be reading, cooking, gardening, maybe copying a manuscript, repairing something, writing someone a letter, tending to any kind of a task that genuinely needed attention, and then that bell would ring, and the monk was called that they must stop right that second, not finish the letter, not finish repairing the thing, but to stop right that moment. And that part really interests me, that immediacy, because speaking for myself, my nervous system, my rhythm absolutely hates being interrupted mid-task. It feels like my skin is being pulled off of me. And one small example of me trying to do the work is that if I am ever mid-task, it seems my partner and I joke about, it seems like one of the only times that he wants to give me attention, of course it's not true, but it seems this way, is like if I am in the middle of a task. So if I am standing on a ladder doing electrical wiring, that's the moment that he is leaving and wants a hug and wants to say goodbye. Or I am siphoning fish shit off of the bottom, cleaning an aquarium, and I've got my hands full, and this is the moment that he is leaving for work or wants a hug or wants to interrupt me with a task or to talk about something. And in those moments, it feels absolutely insane for me to have to pause the task that I am right in the middle of. And also part of the work is, how important is this thing that I'm doing right this second, this cleaning the aquarium? It's not, because I had mentioned in a past episode that the day that my dad died, I was watering some plants. He had called for something that was really not important at all, and I talked to him for a few minutes while I was watering, and the last words that we had that day were, "I'll see you for dinner on Sunday," and I had no idea that was going to be the last conversation that I had with my dad. I had planned for that weekend, probably years to come. We were considering plans to build for them to move out to my property and for me to be able to keep a closer eye on them as they continue to age closely. And I did not know that day, that conversation was going to be the last moment that I had, the last conversation that I had. Thankfully, there was no unresolved business, so it's not like I'm wishing that I had done something different. But I can tell you this, if I was cleaning an aquarium and my partner asked for a hug, and my last thing was me rolling my eyes and being frustrated, like, oh, you always need a hug when I'm in the middle of a task. And if that was the last conversation that I had, because there was, God forbid, a bad traffic crash or something like that, I would feel like the biggest sack of shit for the rest of my life, probably. Or that'd be something that I would really have to forgive myself over. So stop when the bell rings is really all about the immediacy. We're all in such a big fucking rush. Like, we've got so much to do, and it's so unimportant. The bell does not wait for perfect stopping points. It did not ask a monk, are you in a good rhythm? Is this a good stopping point? Is this an okay place to pause? It didn't ask if the work is important. Didn't ask, are you almost done? Is this an inconvenient time, or is this okay? The bell rings, and the task is right that moment. Stop exactly what you're doing. So imagine writing by hand deep in the middle of a thought or sentence, and right in the middle of the sentence, the bell rings, and if you are doing this discipline correctly, stop right that second. You don't even finish the sentence. Imagine preparing food and then leaving the next step incomplete because the bell has called you elsewhere. Imagine you are working outside, making progress right in the middle of a task, and there is an uncomfortable interruption because it interrupts ownership, or it interrupts you as the center of everything. And so this called the monks to be trained to remember that your work that you're doing is real, it's important, but it's not ultimate. Your presence is real, but it's not the center. Your momentum is real, but you're not the master. And the bell is a training technique that life belongs to a rhythm larger than your own urgency. That's the part that is worth looking at for a modern life application, even though we're talking about something that's probably like 1,500 years old. We live like interruption is the enemy. We organize our day around control, completion, efficiency, productivity, quick response time, and personal momentum. And so that's me. I'm always like, hold on, let me finish this email. I'll give you my attention in 1 second. Let me just finish this note. I have to finish this task. I'm in the middle of, hey, don't you see I'm in the middle of cleaning this fish tank? And the bell, or the purpose of that, is to cut through all of that. And it says, stop, even though it's unfinished. And that is why this practice has weight, is because stopping after the task is done is easy. It's easy to rest after you have checked everything off of the list. All of us can stop after we finish cleaning the aquarium, or after we send the email, or after the body has checked it off the list. But the training is to be able to stop, to take the interruption. That's the ancient discipline. This is a small death to your ego's demand for completion. And the monastery bell, if I didn't say already, it was a call for prayer, to pause and to go and to pray, or this communal practice. But it teaches the person to surrender the fantasy that every internal push deserves your obedience. It teaches the body that urgency can rise, but it doesn't have to be your master. That your mind can have unfinished work, and you can remain unfinished without it being a crisis. It teaches humility in a concrete way, because that humility sounds like it's an abstract practice until you are mid-sentence, mid-aquarium cleaning, mid-electrical wiring, and you stop right that second before you're done. And so this isn't about religion. For the monks, it was supposed to be that return to prayer, return to community, obedience to God, this sacred rhythm for the day. But if you are outside of a monastery, the bell could be to return to something higher than your own impulse, to return to your values, your presence, your sanity, to pause and go, what if he got in a fucking accident today? How important would this be? And it's not. It is not important. Anything that you are doing right this second is not that important. The form changes, the training remains. When the bell rings or when the bell tolls, you stop. That practice confronts one of the most common forms of modern bondage, which is momentum. Momentum feels great when it is working for us, like we are focused and driven, competent. It can feel like responsibility, and a lot of people are proud of their momentum because it helps them get shit done. And look, there is a reason that high-functioning people have a hard time stopping. I most certainly do. They have been rewarded for pushing through, finishing, responding, solving, producing, and not giving up until the thing is complete. But this reward structure has a cost, and the cost is that eventually tasks can start making decisions for you. The inbox decides, the notification decides, the arguments decide. Your fear of falling behind or financial problems decides. The unfinished decision decides. And this internal pressure of keep going, makes your decisions for you. And you might think that that is discipline, but the bell changes that. It asks you whether you are actually choosing or obeying momentum. Uncomfortable question, because many of us are probably a lot less than we think. A lot of us operate on autopilot, that we look productive and responsible, but we are dragged by urgency. So this is where the bell becomes practical. You don't need to manufacture a dramatic moment. Just start with an ordinary one. The email that you keep revising, the phone you keep checking, the task that you keep stretching because stopping feels wrong. Those are small moments, but they expose the same attachment the monk was training against. Something in you wants completion before you are allowed rest, and so that is the place to stop. Leave the email unfinished for 1 minute. Just pause and just notice what's going on internally. What's the urgency? Walk away from the paragraph before you polish it again. Put your phone down before you check the next thing. Let something sit there without the clean ending that your nervous system is demanding. And so I work a lot with stuck patterns, and this is going to be a hard one to unstuck. But pause. Give yourself 1 minute. Set a timer on your phone or on your watch, a 1 minute countdown, to just notice what's going on internally, what kind of impulse or what kind of pull, what kind of urgency, and that minute will tell you something. You will feel whether you are either choosing that task or being carried by it. You may notice that the work has a clean purpose and that it's important, or you could pause and think about, like, it's just a fish tank. Like, how important is this? It's not. So the whole point, notice, control, avoidance, perfectionism, searching for relief. Do you have an eternal abyss? Any of it is useful information, and the bell or the pause gives you a way to see the driver before the drive takes you elsewhere. That's where you can return with honesty. Maybe you keep working. Maybe you close the laptop. Maybe you send that email tomorrow and that it has like 20% less intensity. Maybe you realize that the task was no longer the task, but a way for you to manage discomfort. and that is the whole discipline. The bell breaks the spell long enough for choice to come back online, and for the monk, the bell was supposed to be the call back to prayer or to community or to God. And if that's your jam, then you should do that. And if it's not, then the secular approach is notice. Is what this task that I'm in the middle of, is that actually in line with what I say that I value, or what I say is important, or what really deserves my attention, or my restraint, and the life that I say that I want to live? Because if you're saying that your goal is that you want to be more present, or you want to be a better husband, or you want to be a better whatever, this thing that you're doing, can you pause? Can you pause and stop and receive the hug? Or can you stop the email that you're in the middle of to take a phone call from your 75-year-old mom who can't figure out how to change the input channel on the smart TV? Because when she's gone, you gotta think back to that moment and go, thank God I finished that fucking email and I was just too busy to take that call. Or are you gonna be standing over a potential grave and thinking how stupid and how unimportant some of this shit that I was doing was? Think about all of that. The bell cuts through that. So try practicing a bell today. Set a timer to go off at just a totally odd or random time. Or like the monks, maybe 6 a.m., noon, 5, whatever. Try the bell, see what you notice. And in that noticing, that is doing the work. Thanks for spending the time with me. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody who may need to hear it. Be kind to yourself, be kind to people around you. Remember that we're all doing the best that we can with the tools that we currently have, and we're all capable of growing past that. If you'd like to reach out or connect, send me an email, brian@naplesintegratedrecovery.com. I hope to hear from you there. In the meantime, thanks again for listening. I'll see you on the next one.